Scry-fi, welcome. We're talking about Ahsoka episode 6 this time.
Yep.
Far, Far Away, I think it's called.
Yep. The first
Yeah,
time ever Star Wars in universe says a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
which it's the one time that you can't actually say that because he's talking about the galaxy there.
I know. And I wanted to hear that story, whatever it was.
Oh, I
You
know.
Like, what is this ancient stuff? They keep alluding to it, but we don't know what the ancient stories are.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
one of the reasons is probably because it's like, I think they want to allude to our galaxy and us without actually ever doing it, which is good. I don't want them to ever do that.
I hope they never do, but yeah.
I hope they never do, but I think by doing it, leaving it as a tease thing, it's like there'll always be this, was there some connection? Did you, and I think it's best to just leave that like that,
Yeah.
You want it to be myth, a land of myth. You don't want historians coming in and nailing down.
Exactly. Yeah. By the way, we should say major spoilers ahead for episode 6, all that.
Yeah.
Also, Mike couldn't join us today. He's been on the other episodes if you've been watching.
We've been doing every episode, so you can go back and look at those videos too.
Yeah. This one starts off. I'm glad that it started off continuing exactly where we want. We were talking about like it could have followed Hera to the Senate.
Could have skipped over. Yeah, we could have been sitting there like, what's going on the other galaxy? Yeah, it's given you everything you want. Like every episode, I felt like Filoni has just given you what you want, and it's like, it's not that it's predictable, like you didn't know what's going to happen, but it's satisfying. Everything you experience is just like, my face is hurting. I just got through watching it, and so my face is hurting from smiling so much.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, okay, yeah. So love the episode. I think this is where they spent a large portion of their budget. In this is one of the big budget episodes because there was a lot of characters and creatures and CG and new things and design stuff. This is definitely where a lot of their bucks went.
That's true. So we start with the Purgle.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if it's just them doing it this way or the fact that it's a special route because it's going to another thing, but
it's either a special. Yeah, it looks different.
Weird.
It's got different colors and it's more streaky. And so it's either because it's super fast, and this is just what hyperspace looks like when you go through it super fast, or it's a different form of travel. It's necessary for intergalactic or something like that. Yeah. But I noticed it looked like this as well for them in the ship.
Right. I wonder, maybe this is what it just looks like in its pure form without stars and other stuff around it to color it.
Because it's in a void. Maybe
it's a complete void. So
interesting. And the void, the stuff would, like, it looks like normally it looks like spinning clouds, spinning bluish clouds. Maybe that cloudy stuff is the electromagnetic residue of all these hyperspace shadows of nebulous stuff in a galaxy. Yeah, that'd be cool to think about.
So this is the only time we see Ahsoka this whole episode and Huyang, but I like their little conversation here.
I do like it, and one of the things I liked about this conversation, I was actually kind of surprised a little. So she's saying, like, she's trying to come to terms with Sabine's decision or Sabine's action or whatever. And I'm surprised that neither one of them said, okay, they came to the point where they said, perhaps this is her nature. This was the only choice she could make, being who she is and all this stuff. But at no point did they then transcend that and say, and yet you, Ahsoka, made the decision to involve her, even though you knew you had doubts about whether or not she would be trustworthy. You bear some responsibility for that.
Well, considering Huyang's the one that convinced her to do it, it would have been kind of...
I know. But having Huyang say, maybe I was, I'm
That would have
also to blame. I have some blame in this for encouraging, that would be cool if they'd taken it just one step further. But I did like the conversation. And unfortunately, it cuts off right when he's going into the story of it. When he's like, "Do you want to hear a story?" I was like, "Yes, we want to hear a story."
I know. I was like, "Oh, is this going to be a whole episode where he tells the story and we go into it?" But no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I would have been the one thing that I would have been like, "Okay, it's fine if you want
I'll
to
delay so that we can hear
I'll
this.
delay
Yeah.
to hear this awesome story from."
And it backflashes to something that maybe would come into play with acolytes or something like that.
Yes.
Or that movie that they're thinking about making that's way back at the birth of the Jedi Order.
Right. Well, also, I mean, like, you could even have whatever story he's telling be, some kind of lesson he's
something that's going to.
Yeah.
Right. I thought he was going to do it to teach a lesson, or that it would provide some background that's going to become significant to what Baylan is talking about, whatever that is.
Well, now I want an animated series where Hu Yang teaches the young Jedi stories, and you get the animation of the story.
I love your idea. I want to see an animated backstory to Baylan's skull in Tales of the Jedi.
Yes, that would be awesome. I would love
That's the way to go, because the actors passed away, but we love that character. Love that character.
I really enjoyed the actor's work in Rome, and I've seen him in other stuff too.
I'm not familiar. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like one of the best characters in there, and so whenever I saw he was coming to Star Wars, I was like, yes. And it's really unfortunate. Unfortunate on many levels, of course, but also because he does such a great job here. So
the more scenes he gets, I'm hearing my own voice come back on you, by the way. But the more lines he gets and the more scenes he gets, I just like him more and more every scene he does.
Yeah. You still getting the feedback?
Let me see. I'm going to say something. No, I don't hear you.
Okay. So we start off with Sabine. They jump to Sabine in her little jail cell.
Mm-hmm. I'm still curious about who built all this gold stuff. It's real. Looks like she got it from some rich person or something.
Well, so something's going to come up, but I think that's just their style of like their ships and stuff.
It doesn't look Dathomiri to me.
Well,
you remember that banker guy in Andor that was kind of a sleazy banker guy?
Yeah.
This looks like what he would ride around in.
I guess. I don't know. There's maybe like the ancient stuff that they did before, because all we've ever seen from the sisters, the Night Sisters and stuff, is the big giant stone ruins and stuff. Maybe this is their style of like new stuff,
I don't know.
But I like how he like talks to them in the little By the way, if you look at this door, it has that Y shape kind of thing, and it'll open up like that too. And then when she's later put into a prison on the planet, it has that same door.
That answers our question right there, because I think you're right then. This must be a Dathomiri design ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like the idea that he's saying, I'm keeping my word with her and stuff, but there's a reason behind it and all that stuff. And I think he like understands this is almost the other conversation, the other side of the conversation. We knew she'd make this choice because this is her inevitable thing, and we're just going to follow through and use it to our advantage, right?
So now we know that he is hearing some kind of calling of something that he thinks connects to some ancient fairy tale.
Yeah.
Which has to do with great power that's going to end these cycles of rise and fall of powers struggling against one another.
Yeah, we'll get to that point whenever they're standing together.
Because that's where he talks about it.
Yeah, you can even see right here when they come out of the hyperspace, this looks a little bit different.
It looks different. That's what makes me think maybe more than just it being intergalactic. It's a different kind of hyperspace, or a higher power of hyperspace.
And obviously, the Star Destroyer is going to hook into the middle of this and be,
I guess so.
Taken off. Yeah, that's gonna be kind of cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they can get around like that faster than normal. Like if they're just gonna keep it as a thing.
Oh, once they're back in the regular galaxy, just moving around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then
I
they could
thought about that.
Go really fast.
Almost like a teleport.
So this is kind of like a sad thing to realize that this is where
This reminds me of, don't elephants do this? They have a place where they go to die, and there's a bunch of
this is vaguely
bones.
familiar. I mean, I know like salmon have their thing where they go upstream and all that.
Yeah, it's for mating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think elephants do this. I think all their bones are in the same place.
Well, the thing that worries me about that is if they come here to die, then they're not going back.
How are they going back? Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, there must be some that come from here back the other way too, though.
Well, I mean, this is why they've been stuck here. Ezra couldn't come back because there were no wells to come back from.
Oh.
Otherwise,
that explains why Ezra couldn't come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Consistency. That's cool.
I like this little scene here where they're like flying in the little shuttle down to the planet, and Shin kind of like looks over at her, and they look at each other.
Uh-huh.
She's like got this death stare for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's like a Darth Maul stare, you know.
Yeah, she does not like her.
Now, there's something I just thought of about what we just said, though. It could be that Ezra just couldn't come back because he didn't have access to a ship. He was outcast from Thrawn thing, and they're going to kill him if he goes back there. There's too many of them, and can't get into space, you know. So, like, what if some of the young ones or the smaller ones go there with them and then come back?
Maybe. But, I mean, I would think that the Purgle, he should be able to, like, call them and they would come. Like, he could get to the top of a mountain or something, you know.
Oh, because they do come down into planets. Yeah, that's right. Oh, okay. I guess we'll see.
So, Star Wars, this whole series has had this kind of medieval feel to stuff. And to see like castle stuff built in the side of the mountains.
It's a fairy tale. This is a fairy tale. This is like really getting deep into that aspect of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. And that's
why Balin looks like he's wearing the Black Knight's outfit. You know?
I also noticed that they have these structures off in the distance, and you'll see them sometime later, whenever. But they look like structures that shouldn't be able to support themselves. Really, it's real small at the bottom and real big at the base, and
we don't know how light the gravity is here too. I mean, they're obviously like jumping around like on the moon, but it'd be a little lighter. And the materials and
kind of I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I thought it was an interesting choice to create structures that wouldn't normally be supported. Like, and it makes you think that there's something more to it. There's magic. There's something. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's the outside of the ship. It's all gold and stuff like that, right? So it has that same kind of gold plated. It does look like a rich merchant kind of feel, but
it also matches the gold of those lines that we're going to see in a second here, I assume, on those.
That's true.
Yeah,
on those pillars right there.
Right there, yeah. So it matches that, and that also matches the end credits. You know the
that's true. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, it comes together eventually.
I love the night witch or the Dathomir witches here.
Yeah.
They look really cool. Their eyes black like that.
The threads,
the echoey voice
spoken to us.
Yeah.
Is what
the way they talk.
Yeah.
The things they say, but also the echoey voice and all. It's just real creepy, real super cool. The fact that there's 3 of them is neat.
I mean, I think it's fairly. I think it's safe to say that this is inspired by the 3 fates from the Greek mythology. In fact, one of them looks young, the other one looks middle-aged, the other one looks old. Cool. I mean, they talk about threads of fate and all that stuff. I think that's pulled almost directly from there.
Oh, just for our viewers too, if they don't know, the Dathomir witches go back to the 1980s. I first learned about them through the role playing game, the West End Games D6 Star Wars role playing game supplements talked about the witches of Dathomir, but I think it came from a book, and I just can't remember. Maybe in the comments, let us know if y'all know. They've been around for a while at
Clone Wars, but yeah,
and then in Clone Wars is where they entered the canon.
Yeah, there's the cool looking. I think these facial. I don't know if they're tattoos or normal things or makeup or whatever they do, but I think those match the three sisters that you see in the temple of the first.
I was wondering about that because they also have the orbs and the same. I think that's who that represents.
I know that the pattern they have right here does, because I remember looking at that stonework pattern.
I'm pretty sure this is them, or at least their station. Maybe not these particular individuals have revolved into these stations over time. But.
I like that they say it stinks of Jedi or something. She's like, me? So they use their little threads of fate thing to like put her in I guess they don't need servants or something like that. Like,
well, they're probably little droids or whatever.
Yeah, I guess so. Or I guess. Well, I mean, just like that little sphere that was the map tool, right? It's probably something like that focuses.
Yeah, their force magic or whatever is able to integrate with technology. Yeah, it seems. I mean, like they use mechanisms and stuff and tech, but computers, but they also interface with that.
I mean, kyber crystals and lightsabers are kind of the same idea. I also know that the Jedi use the Force to get into their own library records and stuff like that. So, you know, there's things connected to that. There's the doors that she's walking in, by the way. That is the Y again.
Yeah, good catch.
So this is what you were talking about, where they start talking about like why he's here.
You get a little bit more about what his deal is. We still don't know everything, but what I gathered was it relates to some ancient tale that he was told in the temple, which he thought was a fairy tale. He's hearing a calling of something calling to him, which is what this is all about. He thinks it's going to deliver some great power, and that has something to do with bringing an end to this continuous cycle of rise and fall of empires.
Well, the way that you would do that is be an immortal.
Killing everybody.
Well, that is one way, but
he's like Thanos.
Yeah, I guess so. But if you were to become an immortal and have the power to rule, be so powerful, a godlike being, basically,
then you could keep stability by always having.
That's the only thing I can think of is what he thinks is going to be at the end.
But to me, that just seems like harder, because it's like people who only live a regular lifespan have hard enough time trying to stay emperor without getting overthrown in that short amount of time.
Not only immortality, but he would also need to have like the ability, like godlike powers to.
Yeah, maybe it's about controlling the minds, like a Jedi mind trick, but over everybody.
Maybe.
To make them be peaceful.
When he brings up the temple, she gives him this look like, you never talk about this. Like,
yeah, like there's a lot of things he keeps from her too.
Well, like this moment between them, it's really interesting to get these moments, right? Because the only moment you ever got from, not that they're Sith, but the moments that you ever got between the Emperor and his apprentices were always like just scheming little things. Or
you had to kind of piece together and guess what that apprentice was told and not told. And
right. But this relationship feels like there's actual caring between them and things like that. You know, and that's fascinating to see with villains.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I also love how he said, I don't love it, but I mean, I like that it's in the story. I like how he said, like, I trained you to be more than a Jedi, or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's like, I mean, maybe these are. I hate the term gray Jedi. I don't believe that's a thing in Star Wars and all, but I think they might be people who, at least they think, oh, well, the Jedi were too narrow and the Sith are too narrow, but we'll do whatever it takes, or I don't know.
Well,
Still think
there
there's some
are
other kind of disciplines that they're following that are different. Yeah.
yeah, I don't like the term gray Jedi either because you're either Jedi or not Jedi. But there are other beings that use the Force that aren't evil or are evil, like the way that they choose to use it and stuff.
Yeah.
There was that planet that in the Clone Wars where Jar Jar Binks and Mace Windu go to. Their leaders were able to use the Force in different ways,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's
So
different traditions. I
yeah,
think he's infused some other things, and I don't think that they're. I think they've dabbled in the dark side, but I don't think that they're like yellow eye glowing, consumed by the dark side
right.
beings. But you know, uh, maybe what keeps them, like with the Jedi, what keeps them from turning to the dark side is the passionlessness. Seem to have some of that still, but maybe there's something else that keeps them from falling to the dark side, like commitment to their cause or something like that.
Yeah, this moment where he's talking about how he lost everything in the temple, but then he starts thinking like, then I realized that was inevitable anyway.
Mhm.
It that starts telling me what his whole purpose really is. Like he'd realize, okay, that was going to happen anyway. It's going to happen again and again and again. And I think he had accepted that up until the point where he heard about this happening and he goes, I could fix this. And of course, not accepting the inevitable is not Jedi, right? It
Right.
it's trying to fix the thing that you can't fix is what causes people to go down the dark side. Right? That's Anakin
Yeah.
trying to keep
He's
Padme
fighting against
alive and stuff.
impermanence, to put it
Right.
in Buddhist terms. He's like, he thinks he can overcome impermanence.
Right. Yeah, and trying to control other things instead of just himself, kind of thing. And that
Hmm.
kind of stuff leads you to the dark side. So this is interesting, but I think he hasn't fallen to the dark side because he hasn't had this path to it yet. Up
Hmm.
until now, he's just kind of had a slightly corrupted
Yeah.
version of being a Jedi.
Now she probably, Hati probably would be more likely to fall to the dark side at some point than he would, having
Yeah,
the
because she
Jedi
doesn't
background.
have the support structure that he
Hmm.
did because he taught her to be more than a Jedi.
Yeah. It's just so fascinating. I just want to learn more and more and more about what they went through and what his views are and what he thinks and
Yeah.
what he's doing and why. But that's what the next two episodes are for.
I love the costuming between them that they're the little back there
Yeah.
with the spine
Even
thing.
that makes me think, that was not his Jedi outfit, I don't think,
No.
even in the Clone Wars. So is it based on some culture that they've gathered some teachings from? I don't know.
I mean, they might have just found someone to make them armor and that was the style of that culture of the person that did it or yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I like that she starts trying to use the force to open the
Hmm.
door and things start rocking
It
and
looks like
stuff.
she could just climb up there and slide out that slit.
Yeah, but it's a long drop down, I think is the problem.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't think she's much further down than this. Probably.
Okay. Um, and there could be glass in it too. I don't know.
So as this approaches, though, this was
Yeah.
cool. Look, all that
Yeah.
gold plating again.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
So probably the gold is some kind of mineral that's common on that world, and maybe was also favored when they picked out other worlds in the other galaxies. But they've replaced sections where they took damage and stuff. Maybe that's damage from where the Purgle grabbed them and all that. And then underneath, there's a painting of
Yeah.
something. Maybe that's his symbol or something.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
I couldn't quite make it out. But you could definitely see what it that it has like a symmetry symbol to it.
Yeah. It also looks like those thrusters above, the big thrusters are not ignited, but the little ones are. And it
Yeah.
makes me think maybe they're on backup power, something like that.
Yeah, you can see on either side that's where the damage is because that's where the purgles are wrapped around.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think that is what that's
Yeah.
about. Cool.
And it's pretty creepy to see old Imperial stuff in another
Yes.
galaxy. Like I don't
The,
like seeing that.
and also how the stormtroopers look with those red bandages on them and stuff. And this dude, you talked about medieval. That's
Yes.
medieval, and it just looks so. I mean, it's like a Roman Empire stuff,
Captain
you
Enoch.
know. Enoch, yeah, even the
Enoch.
name Enoch.
Yeah, to
This,
have a name like Captain Phasma, right?
yeah,
That means you've made it.
and like that just looks like ancient Rome, you know. This is so cool, and the voice, and this is some kind of like cult that has risen up around him now. It's
Oh yeah.
so interesting to see how they've shifted.
And also his voice, he clearly has had some issue. Like some damage or
Yeah,
something.
this could be somebody with some cybernetics.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely sounds like it.
Maybe the face even got ripped off in some. Oh, weird.
And then finally Thrawn.
Okay, now I caught a glimpse. I try not to watch stuff, but I caught a glimpse, of course, of still shots of Lars Mikkelsen. Is that his name?
Yep.
Who also did the voice of him in Clone Wars. And I saw still shots, and I thought, okay, blue Lars Mikkelsen. But those still shots did not do justice to seeing him speak and act on screen. The look in his eyes and the calmness in his voice, it was like, whoa, man. He has this aura about him. When it's just really cool.
He's got such nuance in the little facial tics and stuff.
Yeah. And it's so surprising too that Lars Mikkelsen is a good actor and everything. He's been a lot of cool stuff, but he's doing a voice at first for the character animated. But it's so cool that he was able to transcend that into acting it as well. It's not just the voice; it's the way he's acting.
Right.
Awesome job.
Yeah.
He blew me away. Really, I was like, man, he lives up to his reputation as far as like how they've been portraying him.
I know. I was not disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And him meeting Balin, it was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then he knew who he was. He recognized his name.
General Balin from the Clone Wars, from the Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ooh, yeah, not anymore. Not with the Jedi anymore.
Oh, there was another. Okay, that's gonna pop up in there. But yeah, this was interesting. So their idea is that Ezra's gone off. They don't know where he is, but they think that Sabine can find him.
Yeah.
So it's like they're using Sabine to find Ezra. So she's actually endangering Ezra.
It's kind of interesting though. So Thrawn is saying, yeah, we have her, and we have these two ex-Jedi people. I'm getting the feeling he doesn't trust them very much. They're wild cards.
He's still not sure about them.
Have Darth Vader involved with stuff. Like he knows.
They say they left the Jedi Order and that they're mercenaries, but he knows that he's got that background as a Jedi. He's smart. He's accounting for all contingencies, and he's ready for Balin to betray him.
You remember when Balin says, like, I left the Jedi Order long ago, and he would be like, you would not be the first. Like, he's talking about Vader, right? So he knows what it's like to have these beings around him, and he's thinking, yeah, you brought Sabine. You go and you go kill Ezra and all that. I think he's just like, we're just going to leave them here.
Yeah, for him, it's not a big deal either way because they think they're just going to get out of there. But he's like, might as well. Y'all can just do your thing, go on your way. And then it's also the case that if Balin went the other way and went back to his Jedi teaching, that would be bad for him too. For Thrawn. So I think Thrawn is just keeping all contingencies on the table and trying to have a strategy for every possible thing that can happen. And it's very refreshing to see a character like this because normally it's the audience going, "Oh, this is going to happen," obviously. But to have a character in the story be there as well and say, "I think this is going to happen. Let's get ready for that." Just like he says, "I think we should assume Ahsoka is alive and plan for that."
Yeah. I also like that, like, you know, the only time he ever failed was because of a Jedi, right? It was because the Jedi did a thing that wasn't predictable.
Right. It's the one thing he can't account for.
Right.
And he knows the Jedi get visions of the future and stuff, but now he's using a Force user to find a Force user.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yeah. I like that she calls him Thrawn, not Grand Admiral or anything like that. Just Thrawn.
She likes to stay like, you can tell it really is affecting her, his presence or whatever, but she's acting like, so what? You don't impress me. You know, she's putting on that show, but you could tell it's an act in a way.
Yeah, I like that he says, so you sacrificed your whole galaxy on this belief that you could just find your friend kind of thing. And she says, you'll never understand it. He's like, yeah, I won't. I wouldn't understand that because that's ridiculous.
For him, that's fascinating because it's such bad strategy.
Right.
You know,
he wants to understand it. And but it's like, I just
very poor strategy.
Yeah. More wolves.
Yeah, basically. It's almost more dog-like, but same thing, really. And I love this creature. It's cute, and it's cool, and it's vicious at the same time. And
they actually give her the lightsaber, which was surprising.
Yeah. He's like, fine, go do what you want to do. We're out of here.
They gave her full Mando armor, other than a helmet, because she left it back in another galaxy.
Right.
But yeah, I even like that the
and the guy says, Enoch says, die well.
Die well. Yeah, that was very Roman gladiator kind of thing as well.
You like that what?
Oh, I was about to say the same thing that he said. Die well, yeah. Yeah, so she goes riding off and he's like, yes, very amusing. Go get her. Go follow her, all that stuff. It's kind of interesting that every now and then I get this feeling from Shin Hati that she expects him to be a good guy, but then sometimes she's surprised that he is. You know, like she's like, we're not going to kill her. And he's like, I gave my word. She's like, oh, okay. And then later on, she's like, wait, you're not going with your word? Like,
it's like she's trying to figure him out. She wants to learn from him and be like him. And so she's trying to understand, what is your guide here? What do you do, so that I can learn that and be like that. All the while, him not telling her everything, which I still stand by my prediction.
What's your prediction?
I think there's going to come a point where he realizes Hati is not able to go where he wants to go with something, and he has to turn against her or something.
He might have to sacrifice her.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why it is, but I just get the sense that something's going to happen between them at some point.
Yeah, now that is a very Sith quality, not giving your apprentice all the information for fear of them taking, like killing you and becoming you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's those structures I was talking about where it's like heavy on top and you can't see them from the... There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Now there are some real structures in nature that are like that in a few places in Arizona.
Sure.
Not Arizona.
There's a lot of them here, though, and those are
Yeah,
small for
yeah.
the other ones I was talking about. So
Sometimes wind does that, decays
yeah,
away, and
she
yeah, it's cool.
here.
Yeah.
She's doing
Again, we get the not only the recreation of the scanner, but the scanner sounds. I noticed were the same as the ones we hear in Empire Strikes Back.
And of course, the minute you pick up life, it attacks.
Yeah, it'd be nice for once if she could have said, life form's coming, and gotten ready so that the scanner actually produced a benefit. Good thing I had that scanner instead of it just distracting me while I got sneak attack.
Have we ever seen the scanners work at all?
I was thinking about that for something else too in a movie. I can't remember what it was, but it's like very often the thing that's supposed to be an advantage didn't actually give advantage.
Right. They're distracted by it. I like that the dog immediately just bucks her off. And
he's like, I'm out of here. And I really love the way these little nomadic raiders look.
Yeah, they're kind of like samurai / Tuscan Raider feel,
Yeah, yeah. And I like there's kind of a unity in their thing with the red, but also kind of like makeshift apocalyptic. I didn't realize her little rope thingy also sent a charge.
That's nice.
Yeah. That's a nice little extra effect.
This guy up against her, like I guess the leader or whatever with the big hat like that, he's a really good shot. I was watching and he was like getting.
It's a good thing she had that Beskar on.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing headshot and he shoots the gun out of her hand.
Oh, he tries to shoot her head and she does like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes too long for this to ever come out. Why is this not the first thing that comes out?
Well, because she's also got excellent training with the other stuff, That's why I think it's kind of
one or two with the guns, and then she takes out like 5 with this.
Yeah.
Like, just pull that out next time.
Slice that dude's face.
I think we're gonna see that guy again with a cut in the face or something.
Oh, if you give somebody a noteworthy injury, then that's a way to mark them.
It even showed the like that. Like,
yeah,
it went further past the
I'm curious if they're what they look like under there. Are they humans? Because the Dathomiri are, for all practical purposes, humans or near humans, or probably shared an ancestry with humans. These obviously are humanoid, but do they look reptilian underneath? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they could be ex-stormtroopers who didn't want to do that anymore or something.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
I like she cuts this guy's weapon all apart and then he just runs.
He's just like, I'm out of here.
Like, I can't do anything with that.
Look how medieval that looks with the castle there.
Riding away from the castle.
Oh, and it's got the script at the top.
Oh, yeah. I wonder what that says.
But it's in that same language as
it's the end credits.
Older stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
As also was on the Jedi thing that Grogu was set on. That we've seen in a lot of Jedi places. That same looking script.
Huh.
Maybe it just has a similar look. And here I'm wondering, are they looking at the Star Wars galaxy, deciding where they're going to go once they get back?
I think she brought a report back as to what things were like currently.
She's updating him on the tactical situation. Where are the Imperial remnants? What is the New Republic called?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Which would make sense. I like that she's mad at the animal.
Oh, this was super cute. I felt so sorry for the little creature. He's very dog-like. Yeah. And
can't be mad at him too long.
The animation of that creature is just awesome.
I think most of it is puppet.
You think?
I think like this, what you're looking at right now, is puppet.
They'd have to have a mix.
Do some animation of the face for a lot of it.
Yeah. They're probably doing a mix, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like that.
But like it's not the kind of thing that you could fit on a real animal. So I think it's probably all puppet and CG. And then here, this is one of the things that had me my face hurting from smiling. This is one of the reasons you love to watch science fiction and you love to watch Star Wars. The creativity and the uniqueness of these little creatures and their little shirts and their little eye stalks and
made
their
me think of like the Dark Crystal, Jim Henson.
it's out there. This is what I love about New Worlds. This is the kind of stuff I wanted to see when we were talking about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and they go to places and they just see outlandish stuff you never seen before. This is awesome. I love their little shells and how they go down when anything happens. They just quickly drop. Yeah, and then he sees
that's a fun little thing where they see the symbol, and
they even have it carved like in admiration, I guess, of Ezra.
Yeah,
that they've made the same symbol. You know?
So he's probably some kind of hero to them. I'm sure he's done something to help them.
Maybe they all have that, though. You know.
No. I mean Ezra. He's
Ezra
done something to help him out, and
he's like, "Oh, you're all rebels," because maybe they rebel against those raiders. Maybe they were slaves of the raiders at one point. And he helped free them. I don't know. It's interesting. It's fun to think about. And he was like, "Oh, she's got the symbol. She's one of us."
So they do take me to your little town kind of thing.
Oh, and I love the town, the design, and those camper things that they're in are shaped just like their shells. They're like larger versions of their shells.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. I thought that was already passed. So they're here.
They start heading there. Yeah. Then they cut over back to Balin and Shin right here. And they're doing the talk about, what are we going to do? And
I love his thing of like, oh, there's no need for violence. It's his thing about you don't need to rush into fighting. He's going to try to make friends with them. And they know that these aren't the guys that killed their people because 2 of them got away. So
right. Yeah, you can see the main guy is on the left there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, all right, who are these guys now? And they could probably tell that they are following her, and
he's probably going to end up with a group of these raider guys as his little minions or whatever.
Enemy of my enemy or my friend. Count Dooku kind of thought that way too, right? Like whenever he met with Hondo and the pirates, he was like, "Ooh, I could use these pirates," and then of course they turn on him.
Oh, there they are. Yeah,
yeah,
they look like giant versions of their shells, which is cute.
That wolf wanted to eat those little guys up so much.
I know. I was saying, you could just eat just one. They could spare just one, shouldn't they? Just one.
No.
Wouldn't be too much. And then what is this? Like an antenna? Looks like they got little antennas.
Working on his little TV antenna. Maybe they communicate with each other or something. Maybe it's like checking the weather to know when to move.
A weather vane or some kind of sensor or something. Yeah.
And then, of course, they have him try to be all cool and leaning up against the wall and stuff like that.
He acted Ezra very well.
The
voice, the mannerisms. I can believe this is an older Ezra.
Finally, she sees him.
Mm-hmm. It's got the blue eyes still.
Did you I know. I saw that. They're very vibrant. I like that. And he's like, hey, doing the thing, the mannerisms.
I guess he's wearing stuff he got from these guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like chainmail, actually. Going back to
I thought, though, after they hugged, she should have said something. You stink. You're living out there in the little campers and stuff. You probably would. Yeah, it does look chainmailish.
It's like a chainmail kind of armor.
It's more that medieval aesthetic.
Yeah.
Going forward.
It's pretty cool. It's he's like, oh, I can't wait to go home. Like,
yeah.
And then, of course, they're cheating here by looking into the future and knowing Jedi are coming. That's not fair.
Yeah.
I do like that he's like, I thought you learned not to underestimate the Jedi kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do wonder, what is the Dathomir Witch's motivation for helping Thrawn?
Oh, so I forgot about that. So at the very beginning, whenever they're talking, he says, "We'll begin loading your cargo" or something like that. And then
Oh, and they
she
have
says,
those little casket-looking things.
right? She says, "I've seen the catacombs. You have your work cut out for you." They're bringing undead aboard the thing. They're bringing an army of
Yeah.
undead.
Are they going to raise them and do
Yes,
something? Oh,
yes, it's
man.
something
What
like
the
that.
hell?
I don't know if
Oh,
I don't know if it's going to be in this series or something, but
okay. Now,
that's going to come.
something, too, is maybe they're, wasn't it said somewhere that maybe they're trying to get away from something as well? And it could be that thing that that's calling to Balin, some
Yeah,
powerful thing.
yeah. Balin said, she said, like, well, no wonder they want to leave. This whole place looks,
Hmm.
just, I would want to leave this too. And he's like, or maybe they're running from something that's,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So maybe they're running from whatever Balin is running to, and but it has to be something that says I got to get out of this galaxy.
yeah,
I mean, there's plenty
I
of
know.
planets in that galaxy, I'm
I
sure.
think that's part of the power that they're talking about. There's the
Mm,
caskets that you were talking about behind them.
yeah, I think it's going to be pretty awesome these next two episodes. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but
Yep. Well, I hope that Thrawn survives because he's such a cool character. I hope there's another season or
yeah, I
something.
know what you're saying. It's like it seems weird to bring him back just to kill him off right away. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just don't see all this going on for an extended period of time back in the other galaxy with the New Republic and stuff.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the episode.
And then something obviously happens to where all of it is a non-issue by the time 20 years rolls around.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, hopefully they figure out a way to wrap that into some kind of, the First
Yeah.
Order and all that stuff.
Now, what's interesting too, though, is that when you think about the First Order, if Balin fails in his effort to end the constant cycle of empires rising and falling, then the First Order's rise will be yet another example of it's happened again, just as Balin said it would, because he failed at doing what he's trying to do here.
Right.
Which
Yeah,
shouldn't be a spoiler. I mean, we know this.
he must be talking about. Yeah, he must be talking about the whole push and pull of light and dark kind of thing.
Yeah,
It,
but this
it's a
constant thing of like, there's a revolution, and then this powers are wiped away, and a new one comes in, and it's just constant bloodshed, bloodshed, bloodshed.
Well, that's how he sees it, but
Mm-hmm.
you could look at it as a natural ebb and flow of, like, the light is strong, now the dark is strong, then the light is strong, and that's the balance of the force.
But he actually seems to look at it as a tragedy, a constant
Right.
tragedy that needs to be stopped, and he thinks he has a way to do it based on this old story that we don't know.
The irony is that's what everybody thinks.
They're like,
Emperor
once we get it here, we'll do things the way we want them to be, and
the Republic thought they had it taken care of.
It's basically like the dark side dogma under disguise, and he doesn't realize.
It's not even that. Even the Jedi thought they had all this covered and stuff. They got complacent, and then the Sith show up, and they're like, "Oh, Sith, that shouldn't be a thing."
Yeah, but then remember all of this compared to the last episode, where Anakin's teaching Ahsoka something, and it has to do with, like, do you want to live or die? And it has to do with living was not fighting.
Yeah.
Like Luke's lesson, right?
Right.
So somehow that's going to intersect with the Balin philosophy and goals. It's so fascinating, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that Ahsoka and Balin get a chance to kind of talk, and Balin sees that something's changed with you, kind of stuff.
Yeah. I feel like Balin is not going to be just kill the bad guy battle and then he dies. I think there's going to be something where Balin goes, yeah, maybe you're right, and does something unexpected that you didn't think the main bad guy would do. Not that he's going to turn totally good and they're all going to live happily ever after, but something like that's going to happen where I don't know. I feel like something really unique is coming.
I said earlier that Balin could be not telling her anything because he would sacrifice her to get this power. What if it's the other way around? What if he sacrifices himself to give her the power because he's been training her this whole time to be?
Oh, that's interesting.
And
yeah,
then,
I mean,
is he really evil if he's willing to do that for something he thinks is the greater good? All that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, create interesting philosophical issues there.
Yeah.
It could be, and it could be that whatever that isn't part of his plan, but it's something he has to react to and do at the last minute.
Sure.
Maybe he's not planning on sacrificing her, but the situation is going to arise or something.
Yeah,
or
you could
versa.
get that Thanos moment though, where he realizes what he has to do for the Soul Stone kind of thing.
So. Yeah. He obviously has things that he's going to discover as well.
Yeah.
Well,
another great episode. We talked
this
about
needs to be about 20 more episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about how episode 1 was great, and then 2 was even better, 3 was better, 4 was better, 5 was better, and then we said, I bet you this one, it can't be better than 5, so it's probably going to go down a little bit. I don't know if it did.
I don't know if it did either. I don't know if it's so better, different. But it's almost not fair to compare because you were at this point in the story where you're now revealing a whole new world, literally, but also a whole new chapter. And to compare one to the other, it's almost like apples and oranges. They're different and they're so different post and pre New Galaxy that it's hard to compare them. Really.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what the next one is. I can't predict how good it'll be and all that stuff because every time I think, okay, it can't be this good or whatever, it's either better than I expect. And
I'm convinced that whatever it is, it's the thing that Filoni thought, wow, this is going to be a good show. We got to make this show.
Yeah.
I feel hopeful. It's going to be a good, really good next 2 episodes.
Well, we'll see. And we'll be back next week to do that. Like, subscribe, all that to see us on the next one. Also, let us know, did you like this one more than the last one? Because they're so different.
How do they compare? How do all the episodes compare to you so far as in your rating? Tell us that too.
But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.